Hi, I'm Elizabeth Young, and I'm a resident in the village of Mamaroneck. I met Mallory Chinn last year when we were both working on the primary and trustee elections, and it was great to just meet someone who's just passionate about seeing good things happen in her community.
Thanks.
I'm very excited about Mallory running for trustee, and we're here to learn more about her. So let me start off with our first question. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your community involvement.
Sure, thanks. So I'm a public school teacher. I teach 7th grade social studies in Chappaqua. I've been there for 26 years. And my husband, Steph Chinn, is the music teacher at Mamaroneck Avenue School. He's been there about 32 years. So we know schools, we know government. We've put through 3 kids through the Mamaroneck Public Schools. I still have Miles here. He's in 7th grade at the Hammocks. And as part of my professional responsibilities in Chappaqua, I'm a building representative for the Chappaqua Congress of Teachers. And for NYSET, I'm the political action coordinator for my school district. So I've traveled to Albany. I got to bring Ella. We met Shelley Mayer. Really amazing. It's definitely a passion of mine. And I grew up here myself. I went to Chatsworth Hammocks and Mamaroneck High School. I was president of student government my senior year. And most of all, I wanted to be a mom, so I've raised my kids, and I feel like with the 2 girls off in college, I have a little more time to devote to what I'm interested in. So I'm really excited that I'm running for village trustee. I also serve as a member of our planning board, and I'm the district leader for District 17. So I'm already involved in our local government, and I want to take it to the next level.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for your example of just being involved in front of not just your family and your children, but for all of us. When did you decide, and how did you decide to run for village trustee?
Thank you. So I live right here in the center of town, across the street from the village hall. And when Hurricane Ida hit, my husband and I became deeply involved right away. I mean, we walked out our front door and we saw the FEMA center set up across the street. St. Thomas Church was the relief hub at the bottom of our hill. We were driving shuttles from the high school to the church, setting up tents and water and food across the street, and then ultimately another relief center over in Washingtonville. And we saw the devastation firsthand. And what I witnessed was the power of local government. I saw some of my leaders involved and working around the clock. And then I also started to come to understand that what I was seeing to some extent was a result of decades of inaction. For example, I learned that there was money in the budget to buy an excavator to clean the rivers, and it had never been purchased. So since then, with the current board in a leadership position, that excavator has been purchased, but there's a lot more that we can do. And that the hurricane, it was personal. It affected our Mamaroneck Avenue School family. As I said, my husband's been there for 32 years. We knew everybody who was, walking around and struggling, everybody who was helping. This, it hit home in a way that local politics and local issues really hadn't before.
Right. Yeah, I know. I feel you. We're relatively new to this area, but we were flooded as well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And what are some of the issues that you're most concerned about?
Yeah, so when I've been out canvassing almost every night for the past few weeks, and so what I'm concerned with is hearing, what my constituents are concerned with, and it just happens to be my number one issue too, which is flooding, as I just said. What's been really powerful is that even when I go to houses that are like up on a hill or literally in the heights, people say, this wasn't a problem here, like my house doesn't flood, but this is my number one issue because I care about my community. So that's been a really moving experience to have those conversations with people. I'm also concerned about housing affordability. I've lived here my whole life. I want to stay here my whole life. And I want people from all different income levels to be able to stay here and live here. As a teacher working in Westchester, I see what it's like for my colleagues to have to drive an hour to get to work to be a teacher. And, we have to be there at 7:30. And there's other situations like that in our own community where I know people are living far away and then driving to work here. And I would like to find housing solutions to not just keep our seniors here who have been here their entire lives, but also to welcome new community members and to be able to house our working class and our DPW workers, our teachers, our police officers. I think that's important. I'm also concerned about safe streets, and I'm excited about the possibility of the revitalization of the industrial area. And we'll be talking about that, maybe later on in the interview.
Fantastic. You mentioned flooding. Can you tell me more about your vision for flood mitigation?
Absolutely. So the ACE plan is finally in place. That's the Army Corps of Engineers plan. We've secured money to make sure that that is carried through. But I think that there's more that we can do on a local level. Some of that is already underway. We've been calling that parallel flood mitigation. So you'll see repairs at some of the local bridges. I talked about dredging the rivers to clean the rivers. That's something that's also underway, like taking debris out, widening the rivers. So I think that we need to continue to monitor the situation and keep making sure that we're, even as we look down the line into the future, and when the ACE plan is complete, well, then what? We have to keep monitoring, keep growing, keep thinking. And there's amazing technology out there that can help us, and we have to dream big, and we have to go after the funding and keep collaborating at all levels of government to make sure that we're protecting our community. And that was not done in the past, and that's one thing that I'm going to make sure that I do, is to protect our residents.
Great, yeah. Dredging is something I'm very familiar with. Where we used to live, it was done twice a year.
Oh, wow.
Every waterway. So I'm actually really excited that we finally,
finally
got
being
this
excited
far.
about river dredging, but we need to get excited about those things, right? Yeah.
And I hear you about the housing affordability. How will you work to make sure that living in Mamaroneck is affordable?
Right. So I've come to understand that housing costs are a result of supply and demand. And so I think one thing we have to do is focus on, in a careful way, in a way that's backed by research and backed by support of our experts who we employ through the village, that we need to expand our supply of housing. I serve on the planning board, and one example of something that I've seen is that there's 2 houses across from the library that are really old and maybe in some state of disrepair. Those were purchased, and a building is going in that is going to be the equivalent of Silver LEED certified. And when I saw the designs, it's actually so beautiful, and I asked the developer to please put a picture up of what I saw, the rendering of the building. It has a green roof, and when we look at the overall net impact on flooding, it's way better than what we have there. And that surprised me, because you would think, oh, wait a minute, if you're putting a building up, it's going to make the situation worse for flooding, when in fact it has a net positive effect in terms of protecting our village from flooding. So I think, as I said, that there's new technology that wasn't around in the 1800s. So when we replace buildings that need replaced anyway, we'll see that the new plans coming in are better off for our community. I think we also have to be careful. I mentioned that my husband and I are both teachers, and we also need to work in collaboration with our schools. We need to ask builders for a school impact study. I don't think we can build irresponsibly, but we do need to keep building and keep revitalizing different areas of our community.
Fantastic, thank you. And you mentioned the industrial area just
Yes.
now. So what is your vision for that?
Yeah, so right now the industrial area, it's a huge part of our tax base. It's also 98% concrete. So when we talk about flooding, this is an area that contributes in a negative way to the health of our village when it comes to flooding. So we need to increase the green spaces there, the permeable surfaces. I know a lot of artists and musicians. I'm the manager of the Mamaroneck Community Chorus, and we struggled for months to find a place to even rehearse. So I'm imagining this cool artist colony at night. So a place where a lot of the industrial activity that's going on during the day would remain during the day, but in the evening maybe we have venues for local artists, we have shared workspaces, community gardens, a bike path. We were thinking about connecting different areas of the Larchmont Village to Mamaroneck Village so that families can travel from one area to the next on a bike path, maybe a community center, maybe a sports center. But we need to finish the ACE plan first. And then we need to look at that area and really dream big in a responsible way that's backed by research and with support of our experts to provide more amenities to our community and to decrease some of that concrete.
Yes, and it's great how this all ties together.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And so how does your lived experience here as a member of the village has impacted your approach to public service?
Well, when we walk down, we call it the Ave. So when we walk down the Ave at night, we know or are connected to in some way almost everybody we meet. I also am aware that there's new families moving in, and I'm so excited to meet new people. And I understand that my lived experience might not be everybody else's. And I also want to get to know people who are different from myself or who I haven't met yet, so I can continue to grow as a leader. But mostly when I think about flooding as my number one issue that really motivated me to run, this is something that affected my family, my community, and my family. And when Steph and I woke up that first morning after the flood and we looked out our front door, we saw our whole Mamaroneck Avenue community. There were teachers across the street serving as translators. We were setting up tents. We were bringing water over. We were putting notices out on social media, and all of our friends and community members who were able to were showing up also. And that just really inspires me to feel part of something that's bigger than myself, and really just to lead with love. That's what we teach our children, and that's what I hope to do as a trustee.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. We're so looking forward to having you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time today, Elizabeth.